Coming up on Citrus TV News Live at 6.
An SU professor is suing the New York State Supreme Court.
And another GOP candidate drops out of the race.
Plus, People magazine names this year's sexiest man. All that and more. Citrus TV News starts now.
From the Citrus TV studios, this is Citrus TV News Live at 6, your campus news leader.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Hunter Sines.
And I'm Caroline Strange. We have multiple news stories coming out of Paris right now following the horrific terror attacks from this past weekend. Our own Rob Romano has an exclusive interview with an SU Abroad student who was in Paris the day of the attacks. That's our top story tonight.
And we will have that interview after the break. First off, gunfire and explosions rang through Paris again Wednesday night, but this time in a raid that ended with 2 terror suspects dead and 8 arrested. Authorities targeted a building in a Paris suburb after picking up phone conversations indicating a relative of the suspected ringleader of last week's attacks was there. A woman who blew up herself during the raid is believed to be a cousin of the man responsible for the weekend's attacks.
And the attacks in France continue to rattle us here at home in the U.S. as well. 2 Air France flights en route to Paris, one coming out of Los Angeles and the other from Washington, D.C., were both diverted last night due to bomb threats. Both flights landed safely on the ground in the U.S. shortly after takeoff. It's still unclear if the threats were called in from the same person on the ground. The bus company partnered with Syracuse University may face budget cuts in the future. Centro could lose $12 million over a 6-year period because of a highway bill recently approved by the House. The bill is still waiting approval from a special committee before it's voted on by the Senate. SU officials say the cuts would not affect the university, but the head of Centro is saying otherwise, that the cuts would affect services here on the Hill.
One Syracuse professor is suing 6 New York State Supreme Court justices and the law firm representing SU. Accounting professor David Harris says he was shunned by the university after he claimed another accounting professor gave students high grades. Harris also sued, saying the tenure process is rigged. He filed the same lawsuit in 2013, but his case was thrown out.
If you're staying on South Campus for Thanksgiving break, your bus schedule and dining options are going to change. Nick Papantonis has the full breakdown of what to expect from Centro and food services for the holiday week.
Everybody is getting excited about Thanksgiving break.
Just going home, spending time with family, playing football with friends, and that's about it.
I plan on going back home to Connecticut. And you? And I'm gonna go with her and then go to New York City.
I'm doing a whole trip with some friends to Chicago.
But not everyone leaves campus for the week-long holiday, and less people on South Campus means less need for frequent bus trips.
We go from over 1,000 students plus out here to about maybe 200 to 300 students.
When I wait for the bus at the stop behind me, I can wait for as much as 20 minutes. If you're staying on South Campus for Thanksgiving break, be prepared to wait for a lot longer.
The schedule is just a little different. It's just about every hour on the hour.
It's not only the schedule of buses that will be different, the entire bus is going to change.
Starting November 21st, which is Saturday, we're going to have a shuttle versus actual Central buses. It's going to be run by Bernie Bus, so it's going to look a lot different than the larger city buses that we have running.
Students will have access to food in Goldstein and Shine Dining, but they will also have reduced hours. Every student received an email with that information, and if you accidentally deleted yours, you can visit our website at www.citrustv.net. Reporting for Citrus TV News, I'm Nick Papantonis.
And for anyone traveling this week, the Student Association will be running free buses to the train and bus station, as well as the airport. Now, after the break, Rob Romano will have that exclusive interview with a SU student who was in Paris during those deadly attacks.
Syracuse students on find out when these temperatures and my mixtape will drop after the break. Welcome to Orange Press Pass.
Orange Press Pass is your ticket inside the Syracuse locker room. Hear from the coaches.
We got some open looks from the perimeter
and players.
Well, I saw pressure coming from the backside.
Get in-depth analysis, reports on site, and more.
Let's go on OPP.
Orange Press Pass, live after every Syracuse game.
I'm a teacher. Let me tell you what I make. I make learning a privilege, not a chore, and frustration a tool, not an obstacle. I make working hard seem easy and giving up impossible. I make an old subject feel like a fresh thought and unconventional methods common. I'm a teacher. I make more.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
SU abroad student Ashani Logan is studying abroad in London, but was on a trip to Paris when the city was bombed by ISIS and more than 120 people lost their lives. Logan was on a train to Paris at the time with 5 other SU students. The 6 students were walking through Paris trying to find their way back home after the attacks. And Logan says they were helped by a stranger named Salim. Citrus TV's Rob Romano spoke to Logan about the kindness of a stranger during a terror attack.
Well, yes, definitely. There's a lot. I can definitely say that there's more police presence, especially at the train terminal. We took the Eurostar back to London on Sunday evening, and there was guards there with guns out. There was guards before, but I don't think they had their guns out this time, the first time around. And actually, even walking around in Paris that Thursday evening before we went to the Louvre, we saw cops with guns out too. And so, but we thought it was normal because we weren't sure what to expect. Because in the first week of school during orientation, they told us that there's like 5 or so different levels of terrorism notice or security. So it would be like number 5 would be active terrorism going on, go inside. Number 4 would be something maybe just happened and you need to be mindful of what might happen next. Number 3 might be like something intermediate is brewing or something like that. Number 2 might be just some rumors. So I feel like they were on level 4 because they had some pretty big guns.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much for talking about that as well, Ashani. I really appreciate your time. I just wanted to make sure I said it again. But just going off of that, do you feel safe right now in London? I don't know if you've been hearing much about the American news, but there have been 2 flights out of the U.S. That took off last night that had to be given different routes to get into, to get to Europe, to get to Paris specifically. But I mean, you're in London, you're much closer. You spoke about people being there with guns on the street. Do you feel safe in that situation, Ashani?
I do feel safe, but it's just, there's so much to comprehend. You know, it's like, it was a real traumatic experience and I don't know how to feel about it. So, I mean, I've talked to my professors so far about classes and so on, and they've allowed me to do what I can, but I haven't really been out that much so far.
And now, as you can see, he's still dealing with that. Rob Romano now joins us in studio. Rob, what exactly is the emotional toll that these students are going through after such attacks?
Yes, one thing that Ashani Logan was talking about in our interview, in addition to what you just saw, was the fact that when he was in that gentleman Salim's apartment, he was actually seeing the death toll rise when he was watching French television. So I'm sure that as of right now, those students in London are going through a great deal of pain and trying to make sense of what they saw just a few days ago and trying to just continue in that state. One thing Ashani did mention was that there is counseling available for students that need it, and he did say that he took advantage of it, and I'm sure that a lot of students are continuing to do that as the days go on, Hunter.
And did they talk at all about going back to Paris following what happened?
You know, that's something I didn't actually ask them about, and it's something that they didn't mention during the interview. I do think at this point they're so shaken up to the extent that they are going to be staying in London for a couple of days. One thing about the interview I had with Ashani was that he was very long-winded and he took his time, still trying to make sense of the situation as he spoke. So I don't think they'll be heading back to Paris anytime soon until they are absolutely sure that they will be in a safe situation.
Now, Rob, do you know if SU Abroad, if the offices are doing anything or telling the students anything who are going abroad, just in case something like this happens, what to do?
Absolutely. One thing that Ashani mentioned in our interview was that, and now this is before the attacks, going back to, I assume, when he got to London, when he went abroad, essentially, that students were briefed and were given a 5-point scale that was related to situations involving terror attacks. Number 5 being an active situation when there is something unfolding as time passes. Another being number 4, when something just happened and students need to be mindful that something is going on. And one thing that Ashani mentioned was that the alert level was at number 4 during this situation, and of course just going down from there. Number 3 was something that's intermediate that is going on that students need to be mindful of, and then 2 and 1 are of course much minor situations. But yes, absolutely, Ashani mentioned to me that students are briefed to an extent on what could happen during a terror attack, and they're given a scale to kind of assess the situation.
All right, Rob, thanks so much. The university in London is offering counseling services to the students studying abroad there. We'll continue to watch this developing story out of Europe in the days ahead. The Speaker of the House is trying to stop the U.S. from taking in more refugees. Paul Ryan is leading the charge on legislation that would pause the U.S. from settling 10,000 newcomers from Syria and Iraq. The legislation would only allow refugees to come to the U.S. after passing an extra round of background checks. Refugees are currently screened overseas, and their applications are reviewed here in the U.S. The House will vote on the new legislation tomorrow. And one Republican hopeful, Bobby Jindal, is ending his bid for the White House. Louisiana Governor Bobby Jindal called it quits on a Fox News program after pursuing the GOP nomination for almost 6 months. Jindal was never able to make it onto the GOP's primetime debates because of new poll numbers. This now leaves 14 candidates in the race. And a new mayor in Utah's capital is making history. Jackie Biskupski is the first openly gay mayor of Salt Lake City. She won 52% of the vote to defeat two-term Mayor Ralph Becker last night. Progress on gay rights in Salt Lake City took a hit in recent weeks when the city's Mormon church banned children who have gay parents from baptism until they turn 18.
In the latest edition of its online propaganda magazine, ISIS has released a picture of the bomb believed to have brought down the Russian Metrojet in Sinai a few weeks ago. The improvised bomb was made out of a Schweppes soda can, which was smuggled on board. The terrorist group carried out the attack on the Russian jet after President Vladimir Putin began carrying out airstrikes against ISIS last month. And a soccer match between Germany and the Netherlands was canceled yesterday amid threats of a bomb in the stadium. Police in Hanover, Germany say they had concrete evidence there was someone who was going to explode a bomb in the stadium. As a precaution, the friendly match was canceled and the stadium was evacuated, but no explosives have been found. Now let's head on over to Hunter and Lindsay to see what we can expect after the break.
Thanks, Caroline. Coming up, ICYMI fills you in on all the hot topic news you may be missing.
But first, I'll have the rest of this week's forecast right after the break.
You know what, guys? There's a lot of tree branches and dry brush over here. We should probably move the bonfire over there.
I'm guessing Smokey liked that idea.
Body language can tell you all sorts of things. Like someone is having a stroke. Know the sudden signs. Learn fast. Face drooping, arm weakness, speech difficulty. Time to call 911 and get them to a hospital immediately. Learn the body language and spot a stroke fast.
If you want to be a parent, it doesn't matter how you play, what you wear, how you dance, or even what direction life takes you. You just need to be there. You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care don't need perfection. They just need you.
Well, it hardly feels like Thanksgiving is next week with all the warm days we've had lately. But Lindsay, is the warm weather going to be staying here much longer?
Well, Caroline, we've been so fortunate to have such beautiful weather. It's completely out of the norm, and today's sunny day totally gave us that feel. Today's sunny and chilly day has been felt by this pattern of warmer than average temperatures for Syracuse. Today, students saw sunny skies with temperatures in the mid to upper 50s. Humidity was high at around 62%. Winds pretty strong at 17 miles per hour. That brought down the temperatures to make us feel closer to temperatures in the high 40s. But even with that wind chill, we are still above the average high for this time of year. This November has been unseasonably warm, and we are on track to have one of the warmest Novembers in Syracuse history. Even though temperatures are still warm, we can still see that regional temperatures, we're all in the upper 50s. We're all feeling that warm November, which is completely out of the norm. Now, as we look at the entire nation, we can see that there is a cold front in the northwestern part of the United States. Temperatures have been dipping into the high 30s, low 40s, which is a little atypical for this time of year. Even this morning, temperatures on the California were in the 30s, which is completely out of character even for this, especially for this warm November. Now, as we look at current winds, we can see that where that low front cold front system, temperatures have been lower, and so our wind gusts are just as strong, which truly shows that November is starting to come slowly but surely. Now, as we look at current surface temperatures, we can definitely see that there is a low pressure system moving throughout the United States towards the east, but we won't start to feel those remnants until later. But there is also a high pressure system moving down from the north, which will directly affect us going forward. That high pressure system is moving in and will bring with it some rain that we should see probably tonight, early tomorrow. Now, as we look at the Doppler radar, there is currently no precipitation on the horizon, but just be wary, there might be some light showers this evening. Now, as we look at tonight's forecast, we'll be seeing temperatures in the low 50s with some light showers and some pretty strong winds, so make sure to have that raincoat and that windbreaker with you. Now, as we look at tomorrow's conditions, we can see that temperatures will be in the 60s, again, extremely rare for November, but we will be seeing some rain showers, to make sure you're prepared with your umbrella. Now, as we take a look for that 5-day forecast, we can see that we're getting ready for those Thanksgiving temperatures. We will start to dip down into the 30s overnight, and that will definitely start to feel that chill. So be careful if you are traveling this weekend. The roads will start to get slick because they are approaching ice, so make sure to proceed with caution if traveling at night. But fortunately, we will have some sunshine for the rest of the weekend, which should transition into a beautiful beginning of break if you were heading home and maybe somewhere warm.
Now, Lindsay, we're starting to see it getting much cooler in the morning. How early am I going to have to start getting up to defrost my car?
Well, you know, we might see some snow this weekend. We might see some scrapings of it. But hopefully we won't see some of that heavy snow until a little bit after Thanksgiving. So you might have some time to sleep in and not defrost your car.
Hopefully just a white Christmas and not a white Thanksgiving. Thank you, Lindsay. Now it's time for something we like to call ICYMI, where we bring you the latest health, entertainment, and consumer news. Here's Hunter with the latest.
Thanks, Caroline. The CEO of Microsoft has announced plans to increase security on Microsoft devices. He says the company will spend $1 billion, yeah, with a B, to make their products more resistant to hackers, malware, and other threats. The move comes in an effort to change Microsoft's reputation of selling devices prone to bugs. The money will fund the hiring of new execs and a new cybersecurity facility. And the rate of Americans with sexually transmitted diseases has risen to record levels. The CDC says instances of syphilis, gonorrhea, and chlamydia increased in 2013, with cases of chlamydia reaching the highest levels of any condition ever reported. According to the CDC, most people affected by STDs are between the ages of 15 and 24. No surprise there. Nordstrom isn't exactly feeling the holiday spirit. The clothing store is under fire for a Hanukkah sweater that many have found offensive. It features the phrase high maintenance, a play on the Hebrew word for life. Some sweaters also say Hanukkah Jap, a derogatory acronym for Jewish American princess. Nordstrom has apologized for offending customers and say the sweater has been removed from their website. And well, David Beckham has joined some very good-looking company as this year's winner of the People's Sexiest Man Alive award. Last night on Jimmy Kimmel, the 40-year-old soccer legend said he's honored to join the likes of Bradley Cooper, Tom Cruise, and of course myself. Beckham married his wife Victoria in 1999, and they have 4 children together. This is the 30th anniversary of the award. The first winner was Mel Gibson in 1985. And now we'll send it over to Christian to tell us what's coming up in sports. Christian?
Thanks very much, Hunter. After the break in sports, the SU basketball team looks for its second straight win of the season, and the Knicks look for their second straight win so far. We'll be right back.
Wow, these are really good.
You act surprised. Practice makes perfect.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
Jimmy can't sing, and Tommy can't dance. So we're gonna put some ants in their pants. Aww.
Kids will spend 22 minutes watching us, the super duper party troopers, sing about ants in their pants.
Isn't that funny? Ants in their pants, they got ants in their pants, they got ants in their pants.
Brushing for 2 minutes now can save your child from severe tooth pain later. 2 minutes, twice a day. They have the time.
How you doing? My name's Steve. My family's lived in this neighborhood for years. Recently, things got so tight, we had to go to our local food bank for help. I lost a lot of sleep worrying about what the neighbors might think. That is until I saw them there, too. How'd I do, Steve?
A little stiff. You could have done a little better.
What? Come on. You know, I have an Academy Award.
Yeah, but not for playing me.
Play a role in ending hunger. Visit feedingamerica.org/hunger and find your local food bank.
Well, we start tonight in the NBA, and the boos that were previously heard in Brooklyn during the NBA draft have been replaced with cheers. Knicks forward Kristaps Porzingis, who was the Knicks' first draft pick in the 2015 draft, had a breakout game against the Hornets yesterday to restore faith to New York basketball fans everywhere. The Knicks defeated the Hornets by a score of 102-94, led by 29 points and 11 rebounds from Porzingis, which is a career high. Knicks forward Carmelo Anthony also had 18 points and 11 rebounds. Hornets guard Kemba Walker did have a game-high 31 points, but the Hornets were not able to hit shots down the stretch to close the 8-point gap. The Knicks now have a 2-game winning streak, but go on a 4-game road trip that starts Friday at Oklahoma City. Well, we head back to the Hill now, where the SU football team handed down suspensions to 2 of its young players. Freshman defensive end Kadir Shepard and freshman defensive end Amir Ely were suspended after failing 2 drug tests. It is currently unclear how long the suspensions will be, but it is possible that both players will not be able to play the rest of this year and some games in the 2016 season. Both players have not played much this season, but Shepard has recorded an interception against Virginia. Moving back to the hardwood now, the SU women's basketball team is already locked and loaded for next season. Coach Quentin Hillsman announced the signing of 4 new players that will join the Orange in 2016, led by 5-star recruit Desiree Elmore. She is the first 5-star recruit to sign for SU since Brianna Butler and Brittany Sykes signed. According to the Dan Olson College report, basketball girls report, Syracuse had the 25th best recruiting class in the nation. Shifting to the ice now, the SU women's ice hockey team looks to snap its 3-game winless streak. The Orange travels to Rochester tonight after playing RIT after losing to Cornell at the War Memorial Arena on Saturday by a score of 5-2. Syracuse last played RIT on October 21st, and the Orange blew out the Tigers 7-1. Game time is set for 7 p.m. Finally, returning to the hardwood, the SU men's basketball team renewed an old rivalry yesterday. Syracuse and St. Bonaventure had played 26 times, with the Orange winning 23 of those games. Last time these two teams played was in 2009 at the Carrier Dome, and Syracuse won that game 85-72. Let's head to the Carrier Dome now, where St. Bonaventure was ready for an upset, and it looked that way early on. It's as Jalen Adams here gets the steal, and he passes it to Derek Woods for the slam. St. Bonaventure goes up 2 points, and there Malachi Richardson gets the ball stolen from him by Jalen Adams, and Marcus Posley hits the 3. It's 19-8 St. Bonaventure. Not looking good for Syracuse, and Marcus Posley almost had another 3-pointer here, but Denzel Gregg put back the dunk here for the slam. St. Bonaventure led by 6 at the half, but Syracuse comes back here. Malachi Richardson misses the 3-pointer, but Michael Benajay is there for the offensive rebound and slam. Syracuse is only down 3 at this point, and now the freshman Tyler Lydon, who hit one of his 2 3-pointers, and he ties the game at 54 apiece. Here's where Syracuse took the lead, though. Trevor Cooney driving towards the lane, 56-54, with the and one makes it 57-54, and then Tyler Lydon, his second 3-pointer of the game, makes it 69-59 Syracuse. They win 79-66, and Bailey Lipschultz has more from the Carrier Dome.
Thank you so much, Christian. What are you going to be wearing tomorrow to class, or for me, heading to the airport early? Lindsay will have the answer.
And if you can't get enough of Citrus TV, well, we're on OTN until 8 p.m., so stay tuned for On the Bench, Syracuse Unpeeled y Noticias. We'll be right back.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
So, I just moved in with this family, and it's embarrassing. The little one, he likes to go outside and crawl around in the giant litter box. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I was born and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that! That's disgusting! Oh, poop already! You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.
Lindsay joins us now back in studio. What's it going to be like first thing in the morning?
We're going to have some rain, so make sure to have that raincoat and that umbrella with you. It's going to be pretty rainy tomorrow.
Alrighty, thank you so much, Lindsay. That's all the time we have for this Wednesday night. I'm Caroline Strange.
And I'm Hunter Sines. From all of us here at Citrus TV News, have a good night, safe travels next week, and have a happy Thanksgiving.